Hey guys. Deluded says somebody was at his door, so he'll be here in a second. Hold on real quick. Should be better. Welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. I had to eat a little piece of bread and get a ginger ale because I feel horrendous. But I'm here. Make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel. On this show, we're going to be talking about the Isak alternative that's been identified. We're also going to be talking about Saka being back for Real Madrid. Hello. And then Zubimendi hijack, do we give a fuck or not? I feel like a lot of Arsenal fans literally don't care. And I'm just like, okay, cool. At least we're not panicking. And just whatever we want to talk about, because there's not really a lot going on, but now we're going to once we get back, we're going to be going into that final stretch. And, Fulham is next, I believe. And that's been a difficult fixture for us recently, so I just wonder how we're going to deal with that. Is there any concern that you have going into that Fulham game?
Damn well we got concerns, Jess, man. Obviously, I won't say it's a free hit, because regardless of us being 12, 13, 14, 15 points off Liverpool, feeling sorry for ourselves about the cups, having some optimism or negativity around the Real Madrid game, you still have to put your best foot forward. You still need to compete, still need to win. Now, obviously, the way we went into the international break, I believe, beating Chelsea. Fulham has been our kryptonite. And this season, like last season, we've kind of been effing up and dropping points kind of in identical fashion. So naturally, Fulham scares you. Emil Smith-Rowe might score under the lights. So yeah, man, naturally Fulham's a difficult task, man. It does fill you with one, late nights at the Emirates field under the lights. The games are going to get thick and fast. We got Fulham, we got Everton away, and then the big one against Real Madrid. So let's try and install some momentum and some sort of positiveness. You never know how far momentum, you need more, but you never know how far it could take you, man. So we need to be winning that.
100%. Fulham a couple of years ago used to be the type of game where I just felt like, the upper mid-table teams would give us a difficult time, but we would still beat them. Now we really struggle against teams that are basically not at the bottom, and we still kind of struggle against them too. It's not that they outplay us. It's just we really struggle to break them down when they play in those mid-low blocks, and then they get that one chance, and then it usually goes in the back of the net. Raul Jimenez, by the way, is in really good form for Mexico, really good form for Fulham. And I don't know if you guys watched one of the last games that they played before international break. Iwobi put in this really good cross into Raul, and he just got the ball just in the box and just brought it down and evaded the defender and just put it in the back of the net. I really think we overthink the striker situation, and how little chances like that aren't even clear become such bigger chances when you just have somebody that just knows how to score goals. And I wonder how, I feel like it's going to be a big difference. We haven't had an Aubameyang in so long, and seeing somebody like Ekitike being linked to us, I wonder, if that's the right direction to go in. What is your feeling on Ekitike being the right profile of striker for Arsenal?
I mean, as an Arsenal fan, we all know we're not getting Isak, but because of the premise of us fighting for a league title in the last 3 years, and where you look at our first 11, yeah, we can talk about who's fit and who's not here, but the players that are more likely to start in our 11s or be part of a main squad, it kind of just feels like you grab a left winger, you grab a striker, you grab a centre mid. Obviously, it's not that as white and black as that, and there's a lot Arteta would have to do for us to win a title, but we're kind of ready kind of thing. So I'm kind of in that win now mode thing. But then I look at it, we know what it comes down to. Them established players, you need to be prepared to put down the price tag. If you're not going to do that, whether Arsenal fans like myself want to hear it or not, then you have to potentially go for players that in a year or two, everyone might be saying, oh, wow, we should have got them. Hugo Ekitike, obviously I followed him when he was young. He went to Paris Saint-Germain, probably made the move too early, finding his feet at Frankfurt. I think in this current day and age, working the channels, general play, you can do all of that kind of stuff. I don't know if he's the answer to lead the line, but at the same time, I'm at the point now, if we're not going to go get the Gyökereses, the Isaks, etc., we have to, or Watkins or whatever, then we have to get Hugo Ekitike or Sesko and one of these guys and just build around it, man. If we could learn how to break down low blocks, create a bit more chances. Like you said, are we overcomplicating football? Just put the ball in the back of the net. I do want a striker that's going to do it for the majority of the Premier League season, because where I look at the Seskos and the Hugo Ekitikes, I do think they'll score. I do think they'll do well, but there'll also be periods where they're not doing it, which is why I also want a left winger. So if you've got someone that's even providing 50% of the output from Bukayo Saka, you've got Saka doing his thing, and you've got a decent striker, and on top of all the others, we're doing all right, innit? Goals win games. And, you know, you made a great point on my channel in that you want to get into that stage sometimes where if we're not having a great day defensively, we can just nick some goals and keep it moving. We're kind of the opposite at this, in that we can defend well. We can probably play for a draw, but we can't really nick enough games on a consistent basis. But I can't say I'm filled with mad inspiration with Sesko and Hugo Ekitike. It's more what you could be, and more is better than nothing, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like we have to ask ourselves the question. Ultimately, the club has to ask themselves this question, because they don't seem very locked down on anybody outside of Isak. Is this player the type of player that can lead the line for an Arsenal side that is meant to be challenging on all four fronts? Not, you know, the Arsenal that we've been in the past, you know, in the last couple of years, but the Arsenal that we're meant to be. And I think that player is totally different than some of the players that we're being linked to. I think the last obviously serious striker that we've had was Aubameyang. And he wasn't the greatest creator. He didn't have a great work ethic off the ball. And that's not to shade him or anything, but just back then, nobody gave a fuck about that kind of shit until Arteta came in. But you never wondered whether he would have a goal in him, you know, for a big moment. You just never really worried about that. Most of the time, if he didn't score, it was because we didn't give it the ball. But, you know, even without Ozil, even with like half-ass chances, he could make that into a full chance. And he also had the personality to lead Arsenal. I think last couple of seasons, we've decided that we're going to be this nice team. And I'm not sure that you can win big trophies and have a nice striker. I think the striker has to kind of be somebody with.
Is that fair?
I do think it is,
Because
fair.
I agree, but I think that's wrong, you know, Jess, you know. Would you say
What?
Havertz is a nice guy? I know what you mean. There's like the pretty boy image and we're nice guys and win through harmony and that. That's where I agree with you. But then when I question my own logic, which is in agreement with you, is it really? Like Havertz ain't nice.
I
In a
mean,
good way. He's
Havertz,
not nice.
can I?
He's a bit of a
So
bastard.
Havertz has a
And he
little bit
plays
of
up
like
front
a
for us.
nasty streak, but when I say somebody that's like has that like personality, I'm saying somebody that backs themselves to do their
That's why
job
I'm in agreement with
in the
you.
right moment. And
But that's
he
why I
does
think we
it.
need a proper striker, just like we just need
Yeah,
a gunman that's
we
just going to
do.
do this. But then I got a question
Absolutely.
for you. Because when you
Mhm.
were speaking and you were spitting gospel, yeah, it made me wonder, like, obviously, and me and you are very passionate about, you can have your conversations about whether you think Arteta is the guy or not, or Arsenal this and that, but and I want to get away from Arteta FC versus Arsenal, but it is a fact. I know Berta can have his own ideas, and that's another conversation we can get into if you want, but it kind of is what Mikel Arteta demands from a striker. And I'm not being disingenuous. Arteta's clearly smart. He knows he needs a forward that's going to score goals. No matter how much the game's changed, and you've got goalies you can play out from the back, centre backs good with their feet, inverted fullbacks. There are some primary roles that you have to be able to do, right? But I do think where you look at Eddie Nketiah, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, the one thing they've all got in common is they can do all the other stuff Arteta or the modern day demands from a striker, pulling out wide, pressing from the front, dropping into midfield, making runs for the wide men, which are probably the guys who get the most space benefiting from. But none of them are clinical. If being clinical was what Arteta necessarily demanded, they're not there. So it's like, what is the kind of striker he wants? Because even Hugo Ekitike, you're very different from Sesko. Like Sesko's not pretty. I think he's got a mean shot on him, great backlift. I could see us, you know, by default, Saka to the back post with them Sesko crosses. He would probably scumbag a couple more assists. But it's like you said. I mean, the club don't have to come out, and I hope they know the names. But it's like, how do you distinguish what the forwards are, man? And even that, Kai Havertz became a striker here by default, man.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's like distinguishing Havertz. It's like maybe I didn't use the right words. he is not a nice guy on the pitch, but he doesn't back himself with the type of arrogance that a true
He's not gonna
striker would,
puff
because
out
he's
chest
not
like,
one.
"Rrr."
Yeah, like, I'm gonna put the ball in the back of the net, and the next stage for this Arsenal team is when it's a tough game and we have a half chance, you need to put it away. You know, before that block gets settled, you need to nick that initial goal to make sure that it
Facts.
fucks up their entire plans. You know, the type of player that's going to go to the Etihad and score a goal. You know,
There
I
with
mean,
inevitability as well in that regards, just like
yeah,
a Bamian. Like it's nice to go into a season knowing that regardless of how the season pans out, obviously the times that Bamian was there, you knew him, Harry Kane,
absolutely.
Mohamed Salah. I know it's an exception. Them man are going to be up there for the goals. And where you look through our attackers, we do share the goals around and all of that. But if you were, that's good to challenge. If you're looking at under the lens of getting over the line, Bukayo Saka is the only one that you probably be disappointed it doesn't get a suitable level of goals and
Right.
assists. Kai Havertz has been scoring goals and is more reliable in that regards than other people, but that probably tells you our issues. Then you've got a talented, but he's been in the first team for 2 minutes. Wanyeri, this is where we need the club and Mikel Arteta to sort out that midfield and sort out the attack, man. Tight
Yeah,
defense wins titles, goals win games, and we don't have enough of the goals win games rhetoric here, man.
100%. And this is a really good point. I think this is the point I'm trying to get to, is you need a guy at the front that wins it
Right.
in the tunnel. And I don't think we have the type of player up front that center backs respect. Why is my mom calling me? Sorry. We just don't. I know I'm supposed to be on D&D. But we don't have the type of players that they respect. And so who are those players? I do think that then we're looking at a different type of player. I don't think that's Ekatike. It's Sesko maybe in a couple of years, but definitely a project, I would say. Then you have your Gyökeres, your Osimhen, and your Isak. If you can't get Isak, then I think you have to look at the other two first,
Which one you
because
prefer?
it's tough. It's tough.
Gun to
I'm
your
like,
head.
I feel like I've been maybe harsh on Osimhen in the past. Maybe I'm not rating him as high as I should, but I've seen him in a top 5 league. I haven't seen Gyökeres in a top 5 league. So, yeah, I would say if I had to just choose out of those two, I might choose Osimhen just because I'm feeling a little bit softer on him these days, because he shouldn't be in Turkey. He really shouldn't. He really should be at a top side, competing for
Maybe
the best
something's wrong with him.
trophies. And, you know, somebody had a really good question in the comments, and I'm just like, this could end up being like the reality. Like, would you prefer to go for an Isak for 150 or an Osimhen plus a Williams for 50? You know, because they have the clauses in their contract. And I'm like, we shouldn't do an either or, but this is Arsenal. And a lot of times it is an either or. You know, it is just get Isak, but he can also play left wing and Havertz through the middle and Isak on the fucking wing. You know, like, would you be open to Osimhen?
I like Osimhen, but it's one where on ability and talent and goal scoring prowess and all of that kind of stuff that I should just care about as an armchair expert. I'm having all of that, but then I look at it, and as you said there, yeah, obviously with the greatest of respect to the Turkish league, Galatasaray, and his manager, yeah, Jose Mourinho, like you're living, or was it Jose? I could be wrong on that, man. I don't watch Turkish league, but either way, that's a good league. You're doing your thing. But you last summer was linked with everybody who needed a striker, which shows you what's being said in the papers and what's going on is different. But I look at Osimhen, you're a quality player. Everyone wanted you. How did you end up in Turkey? It's a bit like Ivan Toney. How did you end up in Saudi? Like, is there something that we're not privy to because we're just football fans? Is it something around his injuries? Is it something around his wages? Is it something around the clauses of the agent? Is it nothing to do with him and then Napoli? I'm just kind of wary on that. To go back to the question you said, obviously, I'm not gonna lie, with the names you said there, I'd rather do the 150 million on Isak, but I am aligned and do agree with the money has to stretch in it. You need to, I don't know how you do it, and I'm not Berta, I'm not Mikel Arteta, I don't know how they do it, but you need to get me a striker, you need to get me a left winger, you need to get me a central midfielder, probably need to get me a left back. You just need to address all areas. Like, we need to get this summer spot on.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll pray, man.
Martinez, I saw from Inter. He's being linked to us.
But he always is though, just man. Like, did
He
you
is
really
so
buy that? He's been linked with us for years, man. They always throw that one in there. Going back to the days he was playing up front with Lukaku, I don't know if I buy that one.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. Are we arrogant to not want somebody like Martinez?
Yes and no. I think beggars can't be choosers. I think we're in no position to do any of that, but also we're allowed to be proven wrong in a weird world where we signed him, but we're allowed to not be 100% convinced. Like, I think the only striker that we're linked with where we can get them or not that 110% convinces me is Isak. But then people could sit there and say injuries, team dynamics, all of this jazz. I don't feel there's many strikers on the market for all the teams going that, unless you're a scout and you've done your due diligence, which ironically Newcastle did when they signed Isak initially. I don't feel they're 100% convinced. I see some things I like and don't like, and concerns and praise for Sesko, for Hugo Ekitike, kind of just said about Osimhen. I believe in Gyökeres wholeheartedly, but again, I don't think you're getting the 40 goals you've got now in the Prem, and I don't know if you're going to do it. So there isn't one that you're like 100% falling for, which is why we
Yeah.
just got to do our due diligence. But yes, we've known for at least 2 years,
That's
maybe
why I'm
even
not
3.
trying to just take any old body. Like, that's after taking
No, we
2
need a forward,
years
man.
to do this, they should know clearly what they want and have a plan outside of, let's just go get Isak when we know he's going to cost up the ass. Like, you already know
Oh,
this. So I'm trying to understand. I feel like sometimes Arsenal might come off a little bit naive, where they feel like they can just walk up and take Isak and offer less. And that's not going to happen, because Isak, over the last couple of years, has become the best striker in the Prem besides Holland, so I'm not quite sure where we get off. Like, we're just going to go get him if we don't have the money and like the kind of like the attitude to go get him. That next level down, because, Gunnarola is saying we need to get the striker, not just a striker. And that's where the next level down, I I think you start looking at the Gyökeres and the Osimhen and the Sesko. Sesko is the young option you go for. If you want a more proven, then maybe you go for an Osimhen or a Gyökeres, but you cannot go for an Ekitike. You cannot go for somebody that's not a number 9 that can play in a single man system. I just don't think you can go for Ekitike. I don't know how he ends up being this said alternative to Isak, because he doesn't strike me as somebody that's going to score 20 goals a season. I just don't see it with him. I really don't. Jordan says, we've seen Gyökeres in a league-winning team. Isak has never been in a league-winning team. Does that matter to you?
nah, I can't lie. Nah, that don't matter to me, man. Because you look at how Liverpool assembled their team, or certain elements of when City signed certain players at certain points. Of course, there's some intangibles and whatnot. With the greatest of respect to the Portuguese league, I'm not gonna rate man because of that. Like, respectfully, Newcastle obviously won a trophy, got a good manager, doing good things, building good players, but like, he plays for Newcastle, innit? There's not too much he can do on his J's. And he's if Newcastle were aspiring to win the league this season, which evidently they not, as a striker, he's done his job. What's he got, like 19 in 23 games?
Yeah.
He's done his job. Bagged in a final as well. Goes down in folklore as well. Not gonna go as far as to say he's a legend at Newcastle, but I could understand if those are the talks that are being had. So I don't think that's the best of points to make, really.
Yeah,
If I'm
100%.
honest.
The biggest setback with Isak is, beyond the price and all that and getting him out of Newcastle, is his injuries. And we know at Arsenal, because right now Newcastle are not playing in Champions League as well.
They're about to get it though.
Yeah, they could get Champions League. So when you go from playing just in the Prem most of the times, and then a cup here or there, that's completely different than what we're doing. Especially because you're going to get ran into the ground under Arteta. So will 150 million look good if you don't get the winger and you just get him and then he's injured for a couple months? I don't know that, because I always think about what's the worst case scenario we're going to look like, and I don't like the idea of that. EAA says Isak firing Newcastle to a Carabao Cup is more impressive than Gyökeres being a part of a Premier League winning team.
Equally as impressive for me, man, because to be fair to Gyökeres, you was one of the ones that Brighton signed and you didn't do anything to scream and shout about. I'm not disagreeing with that. I hear it, but it's equally as impressive, man. He's gone from being a failure at Brighton, doing his thing in the Championship, to excelling at Sporting, and he's going to get that big move really, really and truly. So yeah, man, it's equally as impressive. Isak, we just spoke about. I think they're both equally as impressive, man.
Yeah. Rob says it's more about the fact that Isak is doing it in the Prem right now. He is the surest bet but with the steepest price. And he ends up being the steepest price because he is a sure thing. And that's where I feel like a good sporting director comes in and could see that Isak was going to be that at the 70 million euros that he was at Sociedad. We weren't sure. Newcastle were, and they're shitting in high cotton, and we're not. We're looking at him like, now we want him and shit. So I think I would love to be able to trust someone that they could see that this player could end up being the next Isak. But we haven't done well with our players that we've kind of done little like you said earlier, like the Kiviors and the Fabio Vieiras and those guys that we've taken like little risks on. That being like they've all come from top 5 leagues, I think, though, except for Kivior. So you have to take that into consideration, but they haven't really worked out, so it's a tough one. Berta has a lot
to do.
A lot to do. Yeah. Mikey says Berta will earn all of his corn in this tricky appointment of a striker and convincing the second and third pick they are wanted. Yeah, because everybody knows that we really want Isak. I wish that we didn't have to see if Newcastle can make top 4, top 5, and then I wish we had we had the juice to do it, but we don't. So Rami says Newcastle will never sell Isak, guys. I wouldn't if I were them.
Never say never, but they're never selling him this summer, in my opinion.
Yeah, if Newcastle gets CL, I don't think they will sell.
I don't think they're selling regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And him winning a trophy there, I think, shouldn't that show him that maybe he's in the right place anyway?
Exactly.
If they get into top 4 and win a trophy, wouldn't that be enough for like Isak to say, maybe I will sign the thing,
I mean, with the greatest of respect, you look at it in a twofold. People can shit on Arsenal and a couple of clubs that are not doing well, but he's in his early 20s. He remembers when these teams were good. There is the London aspect, and I think these guys would want to move to either Arsenal, Liverpool, or clubs abroad. But at the same time, there's no reason to leave Newcastle. They're marrying quality. You got Gomares, you got Tonali, you got bare decent players that they're going to add on to. They get Champions League football. They've ended their 70-year drought. If they give him a new contract, you do hear some rumors around the release clause, but they give you a contract and show you how important you are. You've got no real reason to leave. And Newcastle are not at that point with Isak, like take it or leave it kind of thing. Like he's got 3 years left. They've apparently both agreed to shelve contract talks. If something goes left then, and in the next year or 2 years, they have to make a decision, then that's very different, to which players like Isak will always be in high demand. But you'd imagine the clubs that are linked with him at the moment, they will go and sign strikers in the meantime. In my opinion, he ends up going abroad, man. I like PSG or probably more Barcelona, whether they got the money or not. I wouldn't rule out anything, but I think he stays for now.
Yeah, Gunnarola, the main difference between West Ham and Newcastle is that the caveat was they make Champions League and they want a trophy. Like West Ham were nowhere near getting into Champions League. So his dream is to play in that competition. So that was, the main difference there. But we don't know him and we don't know what's going to happen. And I think I would not be upset if we just pivoted now and went to a strong option in that next tier below, because we don't have a number 9 at all. So I think we underestimate how just having somebody that actually is a striker would change our lives, and is not Eddie, I think that would change a lot of things. Salvatore says Newcastle's team might just be better than us. We only got Saka and Saliba. Do you think Newcastle are better than us?
I mean, they have our number and they're our bogey team and they're whatever, but I wouldn't say no. They're better than us at this moment in time.
Yeah.
But Eddie Howe does have Mikel Arteta's number.
Yeah, well, several managers have his number at this point. He's struggling to beat Marco Silva. He doesn't do well against Newcastle and Eddie Howe, and he really struggles against Emery.
Against a lot of the Spanish guys, to be fair.
Yeah, Areola will probably continue to be a problem. I'm really hoping he doesn't go to Spurs, but that's a rumor out there as well. Victor says they aren't better. I think the biggest indication of who's better than who definitely ends up being a 38-game season. I think you play both.
Bournemouth are better pressed than us.
Yeah, I think both. You play every single team home and away over a 38-game season. You finish where you're meant to finish, and so I don't think Newcastle are better than us. Are we leagues ahead of them? I think they have the types of players that we've been struggling to get over the line and that we should have had. You know,
Is
if we
that
had
fair, Jess, though? Is that a fair metric? Sorry to cut you.
I do think so. I
All
think
right, you finish and I'll offer
the
time.
reason why I say that is because I think all the luck, the injuries, all of that, I feel like even themselves out. The bad calls from referees, they even themselves out over a 38 game period. I don't think there's many examples of the best team not winning the Prem. There's examples of not as good teams winning cups because cup competitions are not based on the best team winning all the time. It's about, can you get up for the moment? Over a 38 game period, everything shakes out. The bad decisions, the things that go for you, the luck, the unlucky moments. And I just feel like most times when you look at the table, that season, this is who's better than who. Now that can change in the next season, but for that season, that eight months or so, these teams are better. And so I don't think Newcastle are better than us, but I think almost every single team in the top 6 has the types of players that would take us way further away from them. We just don't have them, you know, but yeah, I don't think Newcastle are better than us, but
No, I
that's
don't.
just me. What do you think?
No,
'Cause
I
you're
don't think
saying
they're
you're
better
better.
than us. But like, I was just more on the general comment about coaching. Like, I think I judge just coaches being better than coaches. Of
Do you think
you're only
Eddie
as
Howe
good.
is a better coach than Mikel?
No, I don't. I don't think he's a better coach than Mikel Arteta. But then I caveat that by saying, at the end of the day, I also judge it on, like, obviously I agree with what you're saying about 38 games, it evens itself out. But at the end of the day, like, it's all adjusted to the quality of players and all of that. I judge it on who's getting the most out of their players. I'm not really in the debate of who is better and whatnot, but I do feel Eddie Howe at this moment in time is squeezing more juice out of his players than potentially we've drawn out of ours. And Areola probably out of everybody in the league, really. I just think that's a general comment with coaching, really. But yeah, I rate Arteta as a coach highly. My thing with Arteta, I like, you know me, just I like all that weird system stuff and why this player moved here and did all of that. All that stuff Arteta does, great. It's just about getting over the line. I know you're a good coach. Are you a winner? And every time we've had that opportunity to get over the line for whatever reason, I'm not saying they're not valid with injuries and referee decisions and this, that, and the other. It's just in these 3 years, haven't done that. That's the thing that I'm wondering. Like, that's my only thing with Arteta. Can you get over the line? Have you squeezed as much juice out of this team as you can? On whatever people want to say, Gabriel Magalhaes has improved. Ødegaard is struggling this season, but comparing his struggles at Real Madrid to now, he's doing better. Saka is getting better and better under Mikel Arteta, whether that's right or wrong. Martinelli has struggled to the point where I look at it now. Was that purple patch season? Was what we're seeing either side of that? Was this you? And that was just a purple patch, but Arteta has squeezed a lot of juice out of players, but he hasn't got everything. Now, I'm not a manager. I can't sit here and pretend that I know more about football than Mikel Arteta. I can only criticize as an armchair expert. So I'm sure if I had a conversation with him where the whole Rice 8 debate is, your higher level thinking. But for me as an ignorant fan, this was a man, give or take, excluding Rodri, was recognized as the best number 6. Now you're playing him as an 8 and he's had a good go of it. But that's not him. When you think of Rice, Rice is a destroyer, a box-to-box winner, got an engine. Anything he does beyond that is amazing. So is he squeezing as much juice out of the players as he potentially can? Yeah, I'm speaking more generally than the current climate with the injuries and all this jazz.
Yeah, but I'll also say, like, here's one, and I know people won't like hearing this because it's not an excuse for the season. The season hasn't been good enough. But how many managers have you seen have the level of injuries that we have and been able to sustain their level to a certain extent?
And everyone does low blocks against us. So there's a
Yeah.
respect in that regards, or they know we're naive.
Yeah. We had this conversation on Mo's channel earlier where we were discussing putting aside that the season is not good enough and second is not good enough. How many teams have sustained the amount of injuries that we have and are not really underperforming in the league, like really underperforming? We are underperforming, but we're not really in a top 4 scrap. We're not sitting mid-table. Newcastle had really bad injury problems last season, and they were nowhere to be found. They were in Champions League, all 4 competitions. They had injuries, and they finished 8th, 9th, maybe.
Is that what O'Malley says here? About Arteta deserves respect if he gets second, but not praise. And I use the term respect lightly.
And that's why I think,
But that's what winners do. You overcome adversity anyways.
Yeah, and like Salvatore is saying, like Hall, Livramento, young players doing things in midfield is basically on par. Pope is a monster. Gordon, Isak, how are they not almost better? First of all, the question was, are they better? Not almost, because I don't even think you're willing to commit to it because I think you know it's not right. Because you didn't say
Big
you
up
said
Salvador,
almost
man.
better.
He's always there.
I feel like you don't want to commit to it, and because you can't, because the reality is if they were better than us, then they would be above us in the league. Beating us head to head does not mean that you're necessarily better. We've lost to shitty teams before. And
We've
in
had in the
terms,
last 2 years, we've had probably the best top six record, but we haven't won the title. So that tells me we can win battles against our title rivals. We
absolutely.
can't win the war. Big us up
Mhm.
for injuries, and yeah, we've been dealt a hard hand. But my manager, at least 3 times last year, said we had one of the smallest squads, and we know people. Yeah, we can talk about the injuries, but we know building on the starting 11 and squad depth has been an issue, and it's merely just been, I wouldn't even say highlighted, because we have, pardon my language, bitched about that as Arsenal fans, but I'd say it's
Absolutely.
been brought to the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not even trying to shade Pep, but they had a major injury to Rodri and some more injuries in a poor season, and they're scraping. They really are. So I get what people are saying about, I think when you really want something that somebody else has, you don't like the things that you have anymore. And I think a lot of times, like now we're viewing all of our players as not good enough or we're just shit. But the reality, you guys, is like we're still sitting second and we're pretty comfy in that spot. We just need a couple of the players that Newcastle has. And to be honest, they could probably use a couple players that we got because I don't think their defense is anywhere near as good as ours. I wouldn't take Pope over Raya, and I don't think our midfield is as bad as people are making out to seem. So I get the argument. Now, if we don't do anything and they improve, they will be better than us. It's only a matter of time. But I think that when you are disappointed, you can't see the good in the things that you have. We're really, really good. We're just missing like that one or two pieces, I think,
We've just been
so
complacent, man. We've been complacent. We've rested
absolutely.
on our laurels. Whatever way we look at it, the summer we didn't build on stuff. It's not really been good from the summer till January. January was last chance saloon. We never acted. We just haven't evolved from a tactical front. We're still relying on the same players. We know that even when we've got a small squad, and I know people like to say when everybody's fit, but if everybody is fit, you look through a couple of our players, we know they're going to get knocks, with the exception of Thomas Partey. Tomiyasu, unfortunately, everybody knows how much I love him. You know he's gonna miss significant parts of the season. You know Zinchenko is gonna miss 1 week, 2 weeks, or whatever. Fair enough. We've now learned that with Calafiori. We've learned about this. A lot of these things are quote unquote self-inflicted. So I think us fans can do woe is me, but as a club, we've seen these things play out. It's like we're seeing the same things, and if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I just hope we bring in quality additions in the summer. I hope we marry the
Absolutely.
squad depth and we keep it moving.
Um, yeah, for sure. And all Newcastle needs a Gabriel, Saliba, and Saka, and they're better. Well, all we need is a Isak and a Gordon and a fucking Guimaraes, and we'd win every fucking trophy in the World Cup.
Cut the civil wars going on, Arsenal fans. Come on, stop the
Yeah, it's
civil
like
wars, man.
you guys, we are a good side. Like we don't have to like try to make it like every single team is like. I get it. Watching
We're not
Newcastle
shit. We're just not able to
we're
get
just
over the
not as
line,
good
man.
as Liverpool. Like I think that's actually what we need to strive towards. I don't really want to look
Yeah,
backwards and be looking at Newcastle. I want to look at Liverpool and see what they got, and see
unfortunately,
what
we
they're
bottled
trying
it.
to do. You know what I mean? So let's talk a little bit of let's talk about midfield because midfield is constant conversation. Zubimendi is said to be being hijacked over the last couple of days. That's all I've been hearing is he's being hijacked. He's being hijacked. Now, the response to that has been, I think, funny. But David Ornstein replied to somebody that asked him a question about any information about Real Madrid rumored interest in Zubimendi. And this is coming from straight from David Ornstein.
My
He
guy.
said, sorry. Oh yeah, you did meet him. You did
My
meet
guy,
him.
man. He's a cool guy. He's a cool brother. Still, he's a cool guy, man. He's down for the random still. Big up Ornstein, man. Shout out me,
I
Ornstein.
love that he said people deluded. That was funny.
He's even
Um,
nervous though. He's
he
even
was he
nervous.
was like, wait, what does that mean?
Yeah, he's even there. He's a proper cool guy. Like even before that, he's a proper cool. I was surprised because people like him got every reason to, pardon my language, be a dickhead, didn't it? Really, you wouldn't think it's so, unless I knew it was Ornstein. You wouldn't think he's horrible. I should have got a
Absolutely.
video, man. I should have asked it. I should have asked about Isak, but it wasn't that kind of party, man.
He said, without wanting to discredit the reporting of others, I personally haven't heard this, that Real Madrid has interest in Zubimendi. Arsenal are expecting Zubimendi to join in the summer. I don't know if that means it is completely done, but for some time now, they have been working on the basis that he will be coming in, and a huge amount of work went into getting them to that point while Edu was still in the position as sporting director and subsequently when Ito took over on an interim basis. Berta will be starting soon as Edu's permanent successor, so he will hopefully learn a bit more about the areas in due course. So that's what Ornstein is saying. Now, Ornstein, as people like to always remind me, is that he didn't get the Pepe thing right. But if that's all you can really pull on, 90% of the time he's probably on point. So I would say with the Zubimendi thing, let's just wait it out. I know that it's like, I think with the Zubimendi thing is because he hasn't been setting the world alight in the games that we've been watching, like the game against Man United, or maybe even the game of Spain versus Netherlands, that we'd like for this not to happen. But we were having this conversation. I want to kind of poke on it a little bit more. Is it just the fact that like Zubimendi's key characteristics are not things that shine, or is it that he is an average player? Because here's my thing. Arteta rates him. Liverpool really wanted him. We know they have good recruitment. Xabi Alonso swears by him. Real Madrid are interested in him. What is the case that all of us can see that he's shit, but they all think he's really good? What are the chances of that? What are we not seeing? What is it about this guy where he just doesn't maybe sparkle as much as people want him to? What do you think?
I think for me, he stands. He fits in. He doesn't necessarily stand out. Like I think for what I see of him, he's a Spanish midfielder. When I say Spanish midfielder, big up Mikel Merino, but not him. Typically, Spanish midfielders, you lot know exactly what I'm talking about. He's not the most powerful. He's not gonna smash in the goal. He's not gonna dribble past someone. He's not gonna scumbag assist. I just think he does the basics very well. I think he's intelligent. I think it's one because he is good. His aerial statistics are good, and he does intercept well. But I wouldn't. Those are two attributes. If I said in a Premier League midfielder, you wouldn't necessarily have as him. So I just think he fits in. He doesn't necessarily stand out, kind of thing. I think he's a decent player. I don't think he. I'm sure in hindsight he improves our team and all of that, but I don't think it's one you look at and you're like, wow. And one thing that doesn't help is he's been linked with us and all the other teams, but primarily us for millions of years, really and truly. So yeah, man, I like Zubimendi, but if we don't sign him, I'm not gonna care.
Maybe it's just gone stale a little bit. Boy is saying that Zubimendi is the exact player Arteta needs in the DM system, and then somebody else said that he's a tireless midfield.
Yeah, he does. He does all of that stuff. He's a system player. Well, he's a player that excels in a very good system. I could see him banging at Arsenal in that regards.
Yeah,
but I'm not like, ooh.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on this because I've been thinking about this a lot during international break and our midfield conundrum and the need for creativity.
Good player,
man. If we continue to do things the way that we're doing them now, where we'll have basically two DMs and Ødegaard, who is now more of an 8, then the reality is that there's not going to be a lot of creativity that can be squeezed out of that group in a way that I think people want. I think we're used to, as Arsenal fans, having a number 10 and a couple of little creative midfielders, and creativity has never been a problem for us. Now creativity is starting to become like this thing that's like in the back of our minds, like we're not creating these chances, we're not creating this. But Arteta seems to want a workhorse midfield. I don't see Arteta wanting a technical kind of midfield that has a bunch of like number 10s in it. I don't think that's what he wants, because if he wanted that, we would have that. And so if we go to more of a workhorse, and Ødegaard is still like this number 8 who has to drop back and support the whatever.
He's a workhorse as well, Ødegaard. Don't get twisted. Obviously, he's great on the ball, but it's all what he does in the system and leading the press and pulling out and doing all the pause and doing all of that stuff.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then I think we need to change our thought process on how we're going to get more out of the attackers. I feel like if that's the case, then we're not going to have somebody pin, doing an Ozil type of job. Then that means that the attackers need to be more responsible for creating their own chances and their own situations and creating for each other. And that's where like those attackers to me are like, they're so important, those other two, because when you look at Havertz and Martinelli, they need tap-ins. They don't really create that much for each other. Havertz and Martinelli for sure don't create shit for each other.
Havertz and creativity, that's chalk and cheese. Big him up though.
they just don't have that. And watching a lot of Barcelona and watching a lot of PSG, their midfielders don't have a lot of assists or goals, but their
But
attackers
they're
have a
ballers.
shit ton of stuff, you know? And so I just wonder if the midfield being more of a workhorse, how do we, I guess, fill in the positions behind to make sure that we have the tools to get us forward? And what does that mean for the attackers, especially the left wing? What do they need? So is there a need for us to bring in a number 10 in your opinion? Knowing that that's not the system that we play, do we need to bring in a specialist number 10 in midfield alongside Zubimendi?
Good question, Jess. I would like one. I would like just purely someone to compete with Martin Ødegaard. I know Ethan's there, big him up, but I would like someone with that. I think our problems in that regards are more systemic. I listen, you'd have to speak to Arteta, but I mean, we know 9 times out of 10, low block, we're gonna, the goalie's gonna have the ball. Gabriel Magalhaes is gonna pull
Mhm.
slightly out wide. Our fullback is gonna invert. We kind of know what we're doing there, but once we get to the opponent's final third, we're left, we're right, we're left, we're right. And I don't mind that in theory. I'm not expecting us to create a million chances every minute over 90, but it's like we never go up the gears, we never try anything. And again, I'd love to speak to Arteta, but I'm too much of a simple fan to understand. But when I look at football, when you hear mid, deep, low blocks, compact units, rigid units, they're all together. The way to break that down is to have movement in it. You need to either stretch the pitch and force wingers and fullbacks to go out wide, or you need players in the pockets making runs, kind of
Mhm.
relying on one player to make a mistake and we keep it moving. I know there's primary jobs in the squad and everybody kind of creates and defends, but I just find it very weird that the whole creativity thing is placed on Martin Ødegaard. Like, you know yourself, as much as I love Ødegaard, I've been very critical on him. But
He
if we're
smells
living or
it,
dying
knows
by
it.
one man doing that, we're in issues. Go on.
Abs- and I feel like that's the thing. It's like whenever we have the conversation, his individual performances may not be good enough, but that doesn't mean that there's not a systemic issue that
Exactly.
is keeping us from creating as many chances as we could. You know, because this is somebody who a couple of seasons ago, and even at the back end of last season, was creating a lot. So to me, it's more of like a system thing. And
It
the
is because
further we
Odegaard,
go
I mean,
down
because
the road,
Arteta doesn't want to create, like, we don't really. It sounds dumb because we have done it and we do it, but it's like we don't create through central areas, and that's what I meant when I said on your stream
yeah.
before about if I was if Aubameyang, for example, I reckon Aubameyang like prime Aubameyang right now, you could say he plays up front. We ain't got one. I reckon he plays off the left because our wide men, yeah, you can talk about Martinelli. Our wide men are the ones that really get the opportunities, quote unquote. So I think there's stuff for Arteta, regardless of whether he sign a striker, wing, or whatever, to maybe evolve on the tactical front. It's very predictable, and I don't mind that because on one hand, the way whether I'm critical about the little isms and schisms with Arteta, what you've done has got us to this point, and you're going to be predictable. We've earned that right. Like people know what we're going to do. Our brand of football has got us to that point. But again, there needs to be that randomness. I think big up Mikel Arteta, but I think there's too much in how. One thing I like about Arteta, I said it to you before. If we're playing on a Saturday, I know on the Monday, my man's doing all the thinking stuff and thinking about what the opponent's going to do, and he stifles them. But I think our system is too systemic on everything going right. It's like a boxing match. You plan to fight that boxer does something different that you didn't
There's
plan
no
for.
healthy
And we
randomness.
and we don't, yeah, we don't have the randomness. We don't have a plan. And that's why I think Arteta, one thing I know he's made subs and he's changed things, and it's obviously you can dispel my logic, but I think he dies on his sword. Like win, lose, draw,
Mhm.
we're doing the same things. And then he'll bring on a sub in like exaggeration, but the 89th minute or something where it's not gonna happen, innit? So
Yeah,
yeah,
when
man.
yeah, exactly. Like there's some really good questions in the chat. Like Ash
Big
is
up the
saying,
chat, smash the like button, man.
yeah, do you think if he gets a striker and a winger, Arteta will change the way we attack? And I'm saying that I
Good
don't. I
question.
think I think
Exactly.
he wants this workhorse midfield. Victor said earlier he wants a Liverpool style midfield. There was Wijnaldum and Henderson and Fabinho were not doing up Ozil. They weren't doing up KDB. They were working and giving the ball to the attackers. What that meant was that those front three had to be like the volume that they had to create and put in the back of the net was really high. They were world class attackers. So Arteta needs to get world class attackers to make this work. if he doesn't, then he needs to go back to what he was doing in 22-23, where we didn't have world-class attackers, but we created so much as a team that it compensated for the lack of clinical finishing. You know, he needs to give and push, but Zubimendi alone, the emphasis and prioritization of that particular signing makes me believe that we're going to stick like this. He
I
wants
think
this.
yeah, no, he's gonna stick like this, and I think you made a good point because obviously Arteta's been here for a while, and that question made me just think in hindsight. Obviously, it's different times and stuff, but there's been a point where he used Pepe, and then obviously Pepe was casted away. There's obviously been times Lacazette was playing. There's times where he played as he had Tierney as a traditional left back. I don't know, for argument's sake, at that time, did he always think about one day I want to play inverted fullbacks? But this is what I kind of have to do right now. Obviously, rightly or wrongly, right now he's obviously got autonomy over the team. It's all in his image. It's very different. So I think I'm with you, Jess, in that he's just gonna keep doing what he's doing, and it's not an excuse because you need to get over the line now. But the way we play and what we want to do, I think you need certain players, like what you're saying, man. Like we need certain players because everything has to go right. Really, we're not really. I can't see why we change it. You never know if we get better players that quote unquote he trusts in certain regards. And I did say I need him to evolve stuff. We could see a change, but yeah, I don't know, man.
This is a good part of it is sometimes it's not about the
Exactly.
personnel, it's about how you use the personnel that you already have. Saka and Martinelli are up there for tackles and things like that, tracking back. And that's cute until it becomes like, are they a fullback? Their numbers
It's
are
the
up there with
balance, man.
fullbacks. Yeah, we've gone a little bit too pragmatic. And I think when you're in defensive mode, when you get into attack mode, you don't make the right decisions because you either panic or you're just not in that mode mindset. And I don't think we're in that. Like when we attack, we're not really in that, like you said, like the healthy randomness of it all. We're like, well, what were we supposed to do? We're usually like, when we're counterattacking, it looks like they haven't counterattacked ever in their lives. And I don't think it's because they can't. I think it's because they're not used to it. And there's a randomness to counterattacking
The
that
good news is that
we
we're a
haven't
well-coached
practiced.
side. The bad news is that we're a
That we're well
well-coached side in
coached.
that regard. Yeah, like, yeah.
100%.
It's very
I
much by the
agree.
book kind of thing.
I 100% agree with that. Brantel says, if you look where Bellingham plays, it's right behind Mbappe. So he plays attacking midfield and second striker. We know that about Bellingham. O'Malley says Martinelli has to be replaced just as bad as Havertz needs to. I think most people know that we need to bring in another winger for sure. And maybe that'll help Martinelli as well.
Nah, we're
Bulgarian
past that
says,
point now, man. We're past that.
we aren't
Past that.
pragmatic. We are just disciplined. And
Fair
maybe
enough.
just I feel like we're just too much of that.
I think we're very safe, which has its gifts and curse.
Yeah, Salvatore says they had Firmino. Arteta thought Havertz is that, and
But he
that I
didn't
think,
think Havertz was that. He didn't.
yeah, go ahead.
He tried to do the midfield thing. You thought he was Xhaka, which was mad. But yeah, here
Yeah,
we are.
Rob says that Liverpool front three was one of the best on and off the ball I've ever seen. You can't replicate that with the players we have. I think my caveat to that would be there are other examples in Europe right now, some of the top teams that we would strip their players off of them that play workhorse midfields. They don't play number 10s. They really, really don't. So it can happen, but you need high quality attackers, and that's really what we're missing. And so, yeah, I want to do a little fun activity for
Go
us.
on, big up Marco, man. Now, Marco, I'm still part of the Martinelli fan club, but brother, I bought my stocks, I've invested, I'm here. But bro, it's dark, man. Like it's dark, bro.
It is
Like,
looking
it's
dark.
dark with
I
Martinelli,
know.
bro.
Well, shout out
Scary
to
stuff.
him though. He did get engaged today, so congratulations to
Come,
him.
at least you can score and got good decision making on and off the field.
Oh my gosh.
Off the field, better yet.
Saka said after the 2-0 win versus PSG, we are attack minded. We want to go forward, but the manager has emphasized the other part of the game.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let us see that though. We're just ignorant football fans. We don't always see the other side, Sakadinho, man.
Exactly. So it's the beginning of next season, and it's the first game of the season. We're at the Emirates. The sun is shining, hopefully. What is our starting 11 in your mind?
Oh wow, this is a left
Bird has
field.
already done his job.
This is a left field. This is a left field question. You know what? Ryo, Timber, Lewis Skelly, Saliba, Gabriel, New centre mid. You know what? Let's talk it to existence. Zubimendi, Declan Rice still playing in that 8. Martin Ødegaard, Bukayo Saka. I reckon Sesko or Iketika up front. I'll bet on Sesko a bit more. Sesko up front. Pardon me. I don't think we're gonna get Nico Williams. I want to be wrong. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm at the point. I'll believe it when with half of these things. I'll believe it when I see it because it's following the same. Well, we're at the same point. We're linked with these guys. We're gonna get these guys. We're chatting with this guy, but it's not over the line yet. Like I'm gonna, you know what? Let's put it into there. Nico Williams on the left hand side, or you know what? Safe bet Kareem Adeyemi, who we've not been linked with. I don't think we're getting Nico Williams and Isak or Gyökeres.
Kareem Adeyemi.
He would make Arteta pull his hair out of his head, but there's something in there, man.
Wow.
My boy, listen, he's my boy.
Why? Why do you like him so much?
I like him and Mbeumo. I think he's good on the transition. I think he's got potential. It's not that I don't like him. He's a German international. I just fuck with him. Like, it's cold.
Is he? Or is he
If
just
we
a
could
road
work
runner?
with that lad, if we could work, I promise you, one day the penny's gonna drop for that kid.
I'm not trying to see no pennies drop, man. We have too many. Once they.
But that's what we're gonna get in the summer. Just like we're not getting no Isak and this one and that one. Even Nico Williams is one of them. He's over a higher level, but let's not act like he's the finished article. He's Bandulu as well, slightly, but I'll mess with him.
You know what it is with Adeyemi is that I really do feel like the players that we bring in, especially if we get a traditional number 9, the winger has to have some sort of creativity. And Adeyemi doesn't give me that. He gives me Roadrunner.
Bring him for part of the squad, man.
You already got Martinelli.
Oh, who's that?
Adeyemi said cooked Real Madrid, but I think he also missed some like good chances that.
Oh wow, a player missed a chance. Let's kill him.
No, in a Champions League final where we need somebody that's going to put.
Oh wow, he missed. I've seen Saka miss. I've seen Martinelli miss. I've seen Havertz miss. I've seen Ødegaard miss. I've seen everyone miss.
We don't need to bring in more missers, do we?
The only chance is not missed are those not taken. As long as you show the courage and the bravery.
Yeah, for sure. Rob says the 300 million better be true because we're going to need that much with the players we need. Salvatore says Raya, Skelly, Gabby, Saliba, Timber, Zubimendi, Rice, Ødegaard, Trossard, Havertz, Saka. That's going to be the team, hopefully, and Zubi actually happens. If that's our team,
where's Saka though, bro?
Hang it up, flat screen. I don't want to be there. We must replace it. Who?
Where's the striker? Big up Salvador, but like
there is no striker.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, it's a funny way of spelling Isak. No, I'm joking. Havertz is a funny way of spelling Isak. 2025, 26.
Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Wanyeri, Zubimendi, Ødegaard, Williams, Osimhen, and Saka. So you think Rice is not going to start the beginning of next season? Where is he? Is he going to be sick?
Less of that. We need him fit.
What?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't think we're going for Osimhen. I'd be happy if we got Osimhen, but
you know what? Like, as much as you guys know on this channel, I haven't been his biggest fan at the release clause.
Yeah, because you hate players.
Please don't start that nonsense. Please don't start that nonsense. I feel like at that price range, like if you're gonna get like an Isak at 150 million, no, you're not gonna get other things and potentially injury prone. But you have Osimhen, who's potentially a little bit injury prone, but at definitely like a fraction of the price, like almost like a third of the price. That feels like a better option if you know you can get Nico Williams too. I wouldn't be mad at Osimhen.
Be on big wages though, man. Big wages.
Would be on big wages, but this is talking about somebody that's going to come straight in and ask for the 9 or the 14, most likely the 14.
Yeah, but them kind of man, when they end up in London, we've seen it with Partey. Like, are you going to do the business?
Listen,
are you going to do the business? Like London, being rich in London.
What striker doesn't have a good one, some sort of problematic side to them?
Yeah, but like, if you know, the chat don't want to refer. Osimhen will cash out in London, man. The lights are too bright.
So you
good
think
player, but they're too bright.
So just no for him. You'd rather.
Yeah, I just think they're chatting with you, Osimhen. You're on ability. If it was black and white, it's just ability. Yeah, but you're gonna London. Yeah, it's gonna get dark.
Out of Brentford is crazy.
Damn.
Osimhen won't happen unless Isak stays and Liverpool buys Sesko. Sesko, big step up for him. I'm not like against the Sesko thing. I just feel, is that really what's going to take us over the edge? I don't know.
Inshallah, innit? Nah,
He's such like a question mark because of how, I don't know, young he is. Victor says, DG, you saying just moves like Pep with the black players.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There's a couple like she likes MLS and Saka, the good ones. I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit fugazi. I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
You look at her track record.
I
She was
have a
on to
really good
Sesko, but she's on to
I
she
have
don't
a
rate
really good track
Ikatike.
record.
I
Somebody
don't
who
want
started
Ikatike,
watching
but
the club
Sesko's good.
because they were all black.
I don't know.
Hates
You mentioned color. Like, why is everything got to be about race?
you said, boom.
I
Bulgarian
don't
says,
know.
my
No,
only thing with
I was
Osimhen
saying
is
people that
why
were
didn't we bring
left-handed,
him
bro.
last
Like, I don't
summer?
know. Why is everything got to be about color? I don't know about that.
Oh my gosh. Bulgarian says, my only thing with Osimhen is why didn't we bring him last summer? Why didn't we bring in any striker last summer? We brought in no one. Last 2 summers, we haven't gotten a striker. Like, I don't know. I think with Osimhen, Arteta probably doesn't like his attitude or doesn't like his
Didn't
whatever.
Charles Watt say, I think the summer of 2022 or around that period when we signed Gabriel Jesus, that we spoke with his agents, Osimhen's agents. So clearly there was some liking about him. I don't know if that's still there or changed. I don't think it's about Osimhen's ability. It might be the attitude,
I
but
don't
I just
either.
think
Well,
there's
maybe he
something
didn't want to
non-football
come
in.
to us because we weren't in Champions League yet, because at that time we weren't.
Probably.
You know, we were Europa League. So it could have
Yeah,
been the
but them
case
kind
that
of
he was
man,
like,
money, bro. They do anything for the bread. The
yeah,
bread.
he's doing up
Osimhen.
the is it the underbelly with me? Come on now.
I don't. Why is everybody saying that? What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, Tabuki says just don't like ballers, Ekatike, Sesko. Listen, I am probably not in that camp of wanting players because of what they bring aesthetically. I think maybe that's why I like Rice and other people don't. I just don't see. I think Ekatike will be good for long enough, and then you guys will want somebody else because the step overs and the flicks and all that shit doesn't look nice when he can't lock his ankle and hit through the ball. You know, so
Like
it just
Ødegaard.
look. Yeah, Odegaard has a pillow foot. He does. He has a pillow
I
foot,
think
but
he's
he's not a
playing with an
striker.
injury. No excuses, but I
He's
think
not a
he's playing with
striker.
an injury, man.
I mean, it is what it
It's
is.
no excuse because you've been playing, but I was watching clips and I said this on my live stream. I was watching clips of the 2022-23 and even last season, even though you didn't score that many goals. And the way you were smashing the ball to now, what's going on?
Listen, I can't even get into it. You just have to say that he's had a poor season, and hopefully we move on from it from here, you know. Last but not least, Saka's back. Back again. I'm so excited, but you know, obviously there's going to be like a huge emphasis on him coming back and saving us against Real Madrid. What are your expectations of Saka when he comes back? He's been out for a while, so should we temper our expectations of where his fitness level is?
100%. Like, obviously, I can understand we're looking for some hope. Saka's a good player. You're going to get excited, but we have to allow him to get up to fitness. Just because he's passed whatever test during training, we don't know how fit he is, how many minutes he can play, and I don't know even if he's on the bench against Fulham, much less if he's going to start. Obviously, he'd have a couple of days training from that point, and I think we got that weekend. We'd have Everton, and then you got the big one against Real Madrid. Naturally, again, if he's been passed off fit, it is what it is. I'm not a physiotherapist and all of that, but yeah, I'm a bit nervous with that one, man. I'm scared if
Yeah,
I'm honest.
I think because all of our hopes and dreams hang on making sure this guy comes back and it looks like the player that left us, you know. So
He's gonna get kicked against Madrid. I know that much.
you know,
And
I
anyone.
don't. Yeah, 100%. And I don't think anybody's wrong for being nervous. As an Arsenal fan, we've been through this before. We've been through top players getting injured and never looking the same and things like that. So I think the worry is definitely valid. We have to hope that the medical team and Mikel are taking his long-term well-being into consideration.
Well, pray to
But
God, man. That's why help us. We need God to keep him fit, man.
100%. But if we want to do anything against Real Madrid, which is always going to be a slim chance, even if we have a fully fit squad, you do need Saka in the team. So we'll see what he looks like coming into these next couple of weeks. But it's nice to see him back. He's our best player, and we all know that, you know. So it's nice to see his little happy smile. You know, I'm happy. Toan says, "We'll share Diaby." Exactly. Like that's where I get it's you got to be nervous as an Arsenal fan. Foxy says, "If Saka is back playing in April, he'll get injured again before the end of the season. Arteta can't just drop him in playing 90 minutes nonstop like before. He doesn't have to though. Like I do think as much as he probably doesn't want to lean on him, when Yeri is, I think, played good enough to continue to start until our like Saka's like ready. You know, I think he's more than good enough. You agree?
Yeah. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
like? Yeah, clearly, man. We love
I'm just
Wanyeri. We
saying.
love. I'm surprised. Well, I understand why you love Wanyeri, but yeah, man, he's cold. Good
Yeah.
players.
I love MLS too. Ash says, one
It's a
bad
bad.
season and suddenly Odegaard can't pass, dribble, shoot, create nothing, even though he has done all of that for us before. Okay. Well, I just feel like the Odegaard thing is very recency bias based on this season. And there's a
Yep.
world where he's having a poor season, but because we've seen him play a lot better, that we would believe that he'd get back to that form and recover, especially because there was an injury in there where he tore ligaments in his ankle, you know. So, but that's me as an Odegaard fan. If you already didn't like Odegaard, or you were already like, oh my gosh, like he shouldn't be this, he shouldn't be that, then this is the perfect opportunity for you to start the little campaign against him. But what I will say is that if next season, or even at the end of the season, if he starts looking better, don't come back. We will not accept you back. I will not accept you back. Our player of the season twice times over is being treated
Did he deserve to win that, or was it a bit
like
of
a
a
bomb.
stitch up?
I
Even though
think
I'm with
I
you,
think I
it's
think
a
he
bit
did
of a
deserve
stitch
to
up
win it.
slightly. Still,
I think he did deserve to win it in the context of like there were enough fans that thought so. And I get why. I remember the back end of last season. I thought it was very strange how a lot, because I think Arsenal fans find the weirdest things to be upset by. I get Saka.
fact.
Saka's had a great season last season. Um, and so did Declan, and so did Saliba. But I think, you know, at the back end of last season, Ødegaard also had a really good season. All of them being up for player of the season was
See
valid.
who she's putting as the prince.
Ødegaard won it, and instead of being like, oh, it's because it's just a popularity contest. It's not like this big deal. They took it upon themselves to pick apart Ødegaard instead of it because they felt like it was some sort of slight on Saka. And I kind of got where they were coming from because they're like, well, until we platform him, nobody else will rate him. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. If you think that if we all voted him player of the season, then rivals would rate Saka, then you don't watch football and you don't know shit.
They have to
Rivals are
rate him now.
never going to rate Saka. They're
Fuck the
not
rivals, but you have to rate Saka. You have to rate Saka. You have to rate Rice. You have to rate Saliba. You
they're
have to
not
rate
going
Gabriel
to do
Magalhaes.
it. They're
They're not
not going
going
to
to.
do
They're
it.
just going to keep comparing all their
Yeah.
crap right wingers to him. And then all of that failed. So what did they do? They thought, you know what? Let's create a civil war. Wanyeri against Saka. We're
Yeah.
defeating them allegations.
Ever since then, there has been like an kind of like an undercurrent of like a he shouldn't have won any, you know, and I get it, you know, so because Saka is our best player and Odegaard won the shit. So yeah, but there was a period of time where Odegaard was, you know, considered a top player in this
He's a
league.
quality player. Just
So
needs to pull his finger out of the guard and get back to it, man. And you're
yeah,
just going to have
I'm
to
not
hold the
gonna
L with
turn
this
my
crap
back on
season.
him because of one bad season. Players
Oh,
have
you're
poor
not.
seasons. Now if he starts off next season looking crazy, we got problems. Then he might be washed. But I give him this, you know.
He just gave birth, man. You got to allow him.
Salvatore says Ina said, "Oh, let's talk about a couple of these little things too before we get out of here." Ina said in an interview, Saka is the best player in the Prem. He also said that Arsenal are the toughest team to play against. Why do you think that is?
Because Arteta's a madman, like give or take. Because again, like Arteta does that mad systemic stuff. They move it. People don't care about that stuff, and it's not me to say it's to gas up Arsenal. Arteta, man, like considers everything you lot do. We move in certain positions. We move the ball in certain positions. He mentioned Ødegaard in that interview, the position he takes up, because we don't really give you an inch in that regard. So it makes sense. Big up Anya, man. You know he was clearly he was an Arsenal fan. I know he came through Chelsea's academy. There's no way you supported Chelsea growing up, man. Come
I
stand for us, my guy.
personally with like this is a sidebar. Ola Aina Iwobi, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Alanga. You should be following them on socials. They're so funny. Like, they're
Yeah,
so
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
And
All
they
right, you do
definitely,
support
like,
the man then. Pick up chess.
I do, because I'm like, because you guys have like this weird vision of me. But personally, I feel like players need to have more personality, and I like their personality. I like that they're on podcasts and doing their own thing. I think it's
Facts.
cool. But you know, he said that, you know, we're the toughest team to play against, and maybe he's angling for a move. It's not going to happen. But also, Dejed Spence was asked about Miles Lewis-Skelly. He was asked about like Saliba. You know, Saliba is one of the best center backs, and that you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly, his celebration was cool. He was also asked about Martinelli.
Martinelli, fix up because you're getting drawn out by guys that can't even get in the England squad ahead of
You
someone that's been in the
like,
England squad for 8 months.
bro, do you understand, like, even Joel, I wish Joel never even really brought it up,
Big up
or
Joe, man.
specifically
Yeah,
Martinelli.
yeah, big up Joe, but you
I
sent
was
the
like,
wrong
why would
soldier
you
out
do
there with
this?
Martinelli still. Because he's been locking up Martinelli from his days at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, nobody rates Martinelli. And
No,
that
no,
wasn't the case a couple
ho.
of seasons ago. They
Tranquillo,
don't.
tranquillo,
They
tranquillo.
don't rate him. They
No,
don't rate him.
Jurgen Klopp said he's a talent of the century. Ronaldinho rates his thing. R9 rates his thing. I'm not debating them man's opinions. They're all allowed it. They could be wrong. So Alex Ferguson said Phil Jones will be the most important person in Man United history. He's rated. He's therefore rated. Scary player, super quality. But Martinelli's got unique qualities that no one else has. Form is temporary, class is permanent. But it's looking
Yeah.
like you're permanently bad at the moment, Nelly, man.
Victor says, I'm so happy Ina said that. It pissed me off how people call us mini city. The way our team rotates is so tough to deal with. And I know a lot of people are saying that he just wants to move, but the reality is we are really hard to play against. I don't think that we're like some shit side. Like, we're
And who's
really
more
not.
credible? Someone that's a professional footballer played against us, or
Yeah,
some guys on the
exactly.
internet?
Absolutely. I just think now that we don't have the attack side is like 5% off, we're a little bit easier to play against. But that's that 5%, getting that 5% back gives us what we had at the back end of last season. And that's why it's so frustrating. But I like Ola Aina. I think he was telling the truth. We are hard to play against. Ash says, just a side thing. I was looking at the stats. Timber has 0.3 dribbles passed per game. Average for a fullback is 0.6. And Trent has 2. I always knew my man was the best 1v1 defender. Let's go. Who's a better 1v1 defender? Timber or Tomiyasu in our side, in our team?
I ain't gonna lie, Tomiyasu, man. I would have said you, and it probably is recency bias, but Timber's got a bit of flavor to the way he's doing it. He's a bit tenacious, and I'm sorry, Tomiyasu, come get your crown back, but Timber's looking, yeah, you can't move to him still. Timber.
Yeah, Timber is
But I have to give Tommy his credit though, because we've been getting him up until the point I saw it how many years ago. Salah used to rip us. You did have that great 1v1 battle. I don't know, man. To be fair, I'll give it to Timber, but you don't know. You actually don't know. Like, Tommy actually needs to get fit, but I'll give it Timber, man.
Yeah, Timber is really, really, like, he's gonna end up being one of our best signings, like, value for money. He's
You
really,
tried to
really
fight
good.
me a few years ago.
I never fought you over
You
Timber.
did. When I said Timber is the most important signing we made that summer, we got Rice. You tried to fight me. I promise you, I'm gonna go find the video. And
Oh,
then he
go
got the
find it,
Insta.
because I'll pull up the video for a couple of days ago where you wanted to move him to the left for no
And what did I say
freaking
today? And I
reason.
still maintain that. But what did I say in that same video where I'm open to your suggestion? And what did I
Horrendous.
say today? What did I say today? That you
Horrendous.
might be right. That's the difference with me and you. I could say I'm wrong, and that's why me, Mikel
Yeah, because
Arteta,
I
we
never said
understand football.
that. Pull up
We
the
we,
tape. I
we
need
don't do the rugged strong thing. Okay, if you didn't say it, you didn't say it. You
Yeah.
also rate the American national team. What happened? Panama and that.
This kit back here, can't see it, but it's on display back there. That is the Timber kit. That's my guy.
Yeah, we're
You
why
could
for that. We don't put
never,
next man on our back, but I
you
hear that.
could never, ever. Do you have a Timber kit?
It's cool. No, bro, I
You
got
can
my
put Timber
own name
on
on
your
my
back?
shirt. I'm wavy. I don't need the next man on the back of my shirt. That's dead.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
dead. Like
Okay.
TG13.
Okay.
Timber. And
Well,
when he leaves the club, you're gonna have to dash that in the bin
so what do you
one
think
day.
about White? Because there's a lot of people saying that White adds like an intangible that we've been missing in the team. Do you think that there's any chance that White could get his starting position back? I
mean,
know it's like
anything,
a team thing, but
anyone could do anything, but right now you're gonna have to be patient and take your chance, man, because Timber's looking unplayable right now.
oh, Tabuki, unpopular. I think Timber is being overhyped. He can't cross a ball.
I don't think his crossing is the best, but I don't know about overhyped.
Hmm.
I definitely don't agree with overhyped. Underhyped, if anything.
Interesting.
But we don't need to hype our players, man. At the end of the day, people need to look at what's going on.
Yeah. I honestly, I think I wish Tommy wasn't crocked because that guy is crazy when he's out there. But I do think Timber is our best fullback. Um,
Lewis Kelly, agendas.
yeah, Lewis Kelly, but Timber. I do want to see Tim, and it can happen, but just improve in the final third a little bit. Just decision making. But that's everyone. Like so. But I'm excited to see White back too because I love him down.
Of course you are.
Yeah, of course I am.
Of
Gunnar
course
Rolla
you
said,
are.
unpopular
Spam.
opinion, I think we might be able to move White on for money in the future.
Maybe, but right now, or the next couple of years, we find Arsenal fans definitely during this Emirates era, we finally have a decent defense. Let's hold on to these guys and move on people that we actually need to move on and be calm. Timber's very nonchalant. It's a bit harsh.
I don't view him as
Yeah, I don't know
nonchalant.
about that. Is it a color thing?
Um, it's at the end of
It's a
the
nonchalant thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's nonchalant. Bulgarian says silver linings. If it weren't for Tomiyasu, White, and Calafiori injuries, MLS wouldn't have been given the chances. Yeah, I
That's
get it.
typically how life works. If United never got all them injuries under Van Gaal, Marcus Rashford would it be like Marcus Rashford, isn't it? You just got to take your chances. But it'd be nice to just have these players fit, man.
You know what it is about Timber? It's not that he's nonchalant. It's that he has the type of like calmness where he just looks assured in everything and he never looks like he's trying too hard. I think that's what it is.
Just does his job, reads his
Yeah,
Bible, does his defending, and goes home, man.
I love him. I think he's amazing. EAA says he's a very tigerish tackler, maybe nonchalant in terms of how he carries the ball.
I don't think we're using the
Timber,
right term, nonchalant, bro.
yeah, Timber is elite. He's definitely going up he's right up there, kind of like around where Gabrielle is.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles is nonchalant. I'll give him that.
Oh, absolutely. He's not emotional. And Tabuki says Arsenal fans allergic to depth. Timber and White are top options.
Facts.
I'm not selling White.
Of course you're not.
Because I'm not selling White, but I'm not selling anyone. None of our like defenders, except for the guys that aren't, good enough, so yeah. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get out of here. We did another show. The beginning of that show is just nonsense, but like in the
No, it
best
wasn't
way.
nonsense. You had to address your sins. You was gassing up the American national team. I just wanted to know if they're really good.
You
Panama
always
and
say
that.
I gas up people just because
You
you just
did. You
say
said you
that.
lot were best. And then to my people in the United Kingdom, go and watch that. She slandered our cuisine. Where she got the authority to do that,
I
I don't know.
100% did. And you also didn't know how many states were in the United
Yeah,
States.
but no, go and look at what she said. She said, I know, I'm just not gonna say it. I said 52 is 51 or 50. She said, I know, I'm
You
just not
got it
gonna say it.
wrong.
The answer come out now. Now she's like, I knew all along. What kind of nonsense? Come on, people.
Oh
It don't
man, you
make
got it
sense.
wrong, man.
What's the capital of Spain? Go on, before we get out, what's the capital of Spain? Since you want to do geography, what's the capital of Spain?
It's not Madrid?
Okay, what's the capital of Jamaica?
Kingston?
All right, fuck it. What's the capital of Somalia?
Somalia?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, you don't know. So in life, we all need to learn. So on that note, like you was winning, though. I can't lie. You was. I'll give you your credit. You was answering them questions quite fast. Not
Oh
as
my
fast as in the
goodness.
beginning.
I'm well traveled.
You're not well traveled. You're not, man. You
I'm
probably
well
ain't even been out of
traveled.
America that much, man.
I
You
think
know, you
Deluded
Americans are
has
so
literally
ignorant.
forgotten that I spent 5 years as a flight attendant.
Whew.
So
I
I'm
don't
very
mean
well
nothing.
traveled.
I don't mean you're not well traveled. You could go to these countries and just go around the places that speak English.
I'm well traveled.
You're
Yes.
not well traveled. You're not. You're not. Yeah, Mogadishu. Come on, come on. She don't know. Like
I didn't know
you're not.
that. No.
You don't, man. You're not. You're not. What's the
Yeah.
capital of the Bahamas?
Of the Bahamas.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. What is it?
I'm asking you. I don't know. I
No,
actually don't know.
you don't know?
I don't know. I
Come
don't
on
know.
now.
I don't know.
Wow.
I just wanted to see if you do.
Well done.
So we both got learning to do.
Nassau. Okay. That's good to know.
I don't know.
Now and every single time we come on the show, I'm gonna quiz you on
Go on.
something non-football related
Quiz me,
to
man.
see
Quiz me as much as you
who
want.
is more cultured, Jess or Diluted.
Of course, I'm more. Remember, she said she grew up in a area that yeah, there weren't too many Lewis Kellys and Bakayos. There might have been other gods.
Oh my gosh. No, there are more Tomiyasus. Where I grew up was like mostly Asian.
Hey, big them up, man. You must know. Hey, Asian cuisine is dank.
Yeah,
Very
okay.
nice.
Okay, beans on toast. All right, anyways, let's go on and get out of here. Make sure you guys
You lot eat bare processed cheese. Okay, the war next week. The war will be recommenced. It's calm.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Make sure you guys go to the stream that me and Diluted did before this because it was nonsense, but in the best way. Where can they find you?
Deluded Guna, man. Just type it in, man. I know Smokey's upset about the fact that I'm a content creator, but even you, Smokey, come say hi, man. But yeah, do that.
And also make sure that you guys check out this the pre-recorded show that he did with my friend Gabby. She's my best friend. She knows her
Shout out Gabby, man.
too. So
It's nice to speak with content creators or Arsenal fans that are actually quite balanced in their opinions, man.
Yeah,
she
I'm
could
sure.
she could teach you a few things still.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, make sure you guys check that out, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.